Welcome to the show, guys. Got an exciting one here for you. I am walking you through the first round of Fantasy Football 2022 Fantasy Draft. I'm actually walking you through an actual round, giving you the full strategy for the first round. Okay, guys, this is exciting because some people in the first round can really fall and get bad momentum throughout the entire draft. So this is a Fantasy Football Draft strategy video, okay? I've also linked, if you're watching on YouTube, the Fantasy Football full draft strategy below, like all the tips, all the tricks to help you guys dominate your league. So make sure you guys click on that below. But in this video, I want to talk about who to draft in the first round, whether you're going at the beginning of the first round, at the end of the first round, in the middle of the first round, what's happening so far in mock drafts, and who you should draft in the first round. This is pretty much a little bit of a sample of 16-round drafts for the first round. Now, we all know the first round is not going to help you win on its own. You need all 16 rounds. So get 16-round drafts. So you guys got to plug something that I believe in. If you resonate with this video and you're like, man, this guy does make sense, I like the way he's laying it out, get the 16-round drafts because I walk through every single round in a similar fashion, updating the notes for you. So not only are you going to get all the rounds, you're going to get updates on all the rounds laid out for you in the notes, printable cheat sheets, sleepers, breakouts. I'll include the dynasty rankings, everything you need to crush your leagues, guys. If you use code TUBE20, that's TUBE 20, and you get 16 rounds for 20% off using that code. So I linked it here below on YouTube, or if you are in the car, wherever you're listening, thefantasyfootballaccounts.com, get 16 rounds. I'm telling you guys, it's a bit of a sample and a taste of 16 rounds. So let's dive in, guys. I've been doing a lot of mock drafts, a ton of mock drafts. And everything that comes out, guys, is predicated on the consensus rankings, which is really good news. Let people draft on ADP. Everybody's going to draft on ADP, except for you guys if you get 16 rounds. You're going to think outside the box. Last year, perfect example, right? Earlier on in the season when I was doing mock drafts, Najee was falling late second round, okay? He later became early second round. Then he became kind of like a late first round, right? Right before the season started. But people weren't seeing that, in the offseason. People weren't seeing that in the summer. People weren't seeing that even in primetime draft season. Everybody had Najee Harris outside the top 10. He was a value. So I was able to combo two running backs, making, believe it or not, Najee Harris my second running back. Ended up winning all my leagues last year. Did really well. Guys like Robert Woods, give you another example here. Robert Woods was ranked ahead of Cooper Kupp last year. Yes, believe it or not, he was, okay? In all the magazines and all the cheat sheets and all the four-letter networks, everyone had Robert Woods ahead of Cooper Kupp. And in my 16-round draft session, I'm like, just fade Robert Woods, get Cooper Kupp in around the fourth round. He crushed it, right? So what's happening now is they've taken all those top finishers, guys like Najee, guys like Cooper Kupp, guys like Jefferson, guys that did really well, and they're telling you to draft them again in that order and draft them, invest really high draft capital in them. A guy like Jamar Chase was ranked 30th on the consensus rankings, all right? So it's crazy, but the thing is, what goes up must come down sometimes, most of the time, and you got to see things before they happen. So anyway, I'm not going to get into all of 16 rounds. Let's just talk about the first round. Let's hone in and focus on that first round. But all I'm trying to tell you is just laying the groundwork for you guys to tell you, do not believe everything that you hear, okay? Or do not follow the consensus rankings. So as I'm doing these drafts, the strategy for the first round is very simple for me particularly, and this has worked effectively for me, is I'm securing a running back. Now, all the running backs, the big ones, are coming off. And understand, why do I secure a running back? Because it's a scarce position. There's only literally like 9 running backs, maybe 8 to 10. That's kind of the range. Some people are in committees. Some people are coming out of committees. I say, as a rule of thumb, 8 to 10. That number, is probably dwindling every single year as committees start, prevailing. But there's literally, let's say, 8 workhorse running backs that have no committee. That's Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, who else there? Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. It's very limited, okay? So you want to secure one of those guys in round 1. So who's coming off early? I've done a bunch of mock drafts. I got a couple laid out here that I've done. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey are typically the first 3 coming off, okay? It depends on what order. Some people might believe in Christian McCaffrey. Some people believe in Jonathan Taylor. Some people believe in Derrick Henry. Christian McCaffrey, I think, does have a bounce back year if healthy, right? He hasn't done anything for 2 years. He's played 10 games in 2 years. So I may fade Christian McCaffrey because I can get a similar player in Saquon Barkley in the second round. Did you hear what I said? I'm going to fade Christian McCaffrey, get somebody more reliable like a Jonathan Taylor, and fade fade Christian McCaffrey, and get myself a Saquon Barkley, who I think has a more higher ceiling than Christian McCaffrey this year. Does that make sense? You can get Christian McCaffrey. At the end of the day, I'm making my suggestions in the first round. It's up to you to make that final decision. Say, hey, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. That makes sense. That doesn't make sense. Oh, Joe is actually, that makes sense to me. I can get Saquon round 2, get someone else like a Derrick Henry, still get 2 workhorse running backs and not pay the first round for Christian McCaffrey. It's up to you guys to make some sense out of it, okay? I'm probably most likely at the time of this recording, I haven't seen anything in training camp that really shined to me, or, there's nothing going on right now. So I don't know, but once I see training camp, maybe Christian McCaffrey shining and, things are looking up in that offense. Quarterback situation suspect. But as of right now, I'm fading Christian McCaffrey. Again, he could be a top 3 running back. Jonathan Taylor, look for a slight decline with him, but he's coming off in the first round. 18 touchdowns is very hard to top. So these are all things that you got to be thinking when you're making that precious first round pick. It's not just like, hey, I'm just going to pick Cooper Kupp because he finished on top last year, which is what the mainstream tell you. You got to look at the entire situation. So I look at Jonathan Taylor and I think, oh, hey, man, great O-line, Matt Ryan coming in. Great workhorse volume. Love the 300-plus attempts. Amazing. 18 touchdowns, 1,800-plus yards. I'm anticipating a decline. How much of a decline? Uncertain, because what goes up must come down. The last time a running back finished 2 years in a row was Priest Holmes, okay? 2002, 2003, look it up. So it's very unlikely Taylor finishes it on top again. So then who are the 2 people that have a higher ceiling than him this year, particularly that are being drafted in the first round? Najee Harris and Derrick Henry. Those guys do have a slightly higher ceiling. Najee Harris, they made some improvements on the O-line in Pittsburgh, probably a new quarterback in a situation which may hurt or hinder Najee Harris. But understand, guys, he could only get better in the second year. But again, Big Ben gone, maybe less check down. So Najee Harris, Derrick Henry bounce back, right? Derrick Henry was top 10 in attempts, in rushing touchdowns, and he only played 8 games last year. So Derrick Henry's going to be a volume guy, bouncing back, in my opinion. Najee Harris. And those are your early guys. You got Austin Eckler coming off sometimes a little bit in the top 5 picks as well. Austin Eckler, they brought in Spiller there. So Isaiah Spiller, man, I think the guy's going to eat probably some of that goal line work that Eckler had last year. Eckler did well last year because he had 12 touchdowns on the ground. I believe 8 touchdowns receiving. Very touchdown heavy. Not so heavy in the rushing. When I look at a running back in the first round, I like a lot of rushing yards, okay? So let's slow it down here, guys. Early first round, you got a choice. Jonathan Taylor, a decline's coming. Derrick Henry, high ceiling, possible bounce back. You got Najee Harris. You got Austin Eckler, who's now going to be part of a committee. Who else is coming off early? You got Christian McCaffrey, who's only played 10 games in the past 2 seasons. You can get values for Saquon, possibly late first round, early second. So Christian McCaffrey, another guy. Now, early first and kind of mid first, you see Cooper Kupp also coming off. I see him coming off top 5 picks in a lot of mock drafts. Again, this is all predicated on his pinnacle season last year, which is absolutely, it's crazy. He had such a high season last year. He's going to decline as well. I like this value in the 4th round, not so much in the 1st round, especially the top 5 picks, which is where I see him coming off. Top 5, top 6 picks. So he's coming off mid first round, which is absolutely ludicrous. Justin Jefferson coming off mid first round as well. To as late as early second, late first. Another option in the first round, which I'm fading as well. By the way, I'm fading Cooper Kupp and Jefferson. I'm fading wide receiver all over because there is a ton of sleepers at wide receiver. I can get Thielen for value for super late, who at the beginning of the season last year was the wide receiver 1. Then Jefferson emerged and really took over, right? Again, Thielen got hurt at the end of that season. So I can get value later. And I'm not just saying just Thielen. There's a ton of wide receivers that came in the draft this year. Guys like Alec Pierce, right? I can combo him and get Pittman from the Colts because I know Matt Ryan throws a lot. So there's a ton of depth at wide receiver. I'm not spending a first-round pick on a wide receiver. But the wide receivers that are going in the first round, if you choose to make that decision, and that's up to you. We're talking full first-round draft strategy. If you choose to make that decision, the 3 wide receivers are Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. I think Jamar Chase has the highest ceiling out of those 3 wide receivers, and I can get Jamar Chase at the end of the first round if I need to. Whereas I see, Cooper Kupp definitely coming off before him, and Justin Jefferson sometimes coming off before him. But again, it varies on your league. Depends. Maybe you have a Bengals fan. He might take Jamar Chase first overall. It depends on your league, right? There's some variances for sure. But those are the 3 wide receivers that are typically coming off in the first round, okay? So we're talking early, we're talking mid. Mid, I see running backs like Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Swift coming off. Dalvin Cook has no business being in the first round, considering he busted last year on the first round, guys. He busted significantly. He finished around like 16th amongst running backs last year, and he was drafted in the top 5 picks, and now people continue to draft him in and around mid to late first round. He's definitely coming off in the first round, and the only reason I give him that is because he's a workhorse running back. There really isn't a committee. Madison comes in when he's hurt, and that's it, guys. I mean, that is the only time, Madison really comes in. So there isn't much of a threat in that case in regards to stealing that volume, but he's going to get hurt. I guarantee it. He always gets hurt. He hasn't finished the season his entire career. Something to think about as well. So we're talking, again, him mid to late first round. I see Aaron Jones kind of coming off there late first round. Again, sometimes I see him slipping to the second round. So Aaron Jones, another guy I'm a little suspect about, although with Adams gone, he may get more checkdowns, more receptions this year. But Dillon outdid him last year in some volume. So watch out. A.J. Dillon really emerged last year. Go look at the stats, okay? Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, also guys coming off in the first round. Understand Alvin Kamara, the time is recording. No suspension, but there's a chance he may face a suspension. He had some off-field issues. Go look it up in the offseason. Alvin Kamara, I'm a little suspect about. But talent-wise, should not be an issue if he doesn't get suspended. Javonte Williams, also a late first-round guy. I am considering, I just read a review or read a comment that Russell Wilson is saying that Javonte can really carry that ball. It is pretty much basically saying that Javonte Williams is a beast. So that's really good praise from his quarterback, Russell Wilson. They did sign Melvin Gordon, which is a bit of a threat. And we understand, guys, these guys split carries right down the middle with 203 each. So, again, I'm looking at the situation, and I'm just like, Javonte Williams, I love the ceiling before Melvin Gordon. Not so much now, but here's the deal. I'm looking at end of first round. I'm comboing in a couple mock drafts Javonte Williams and Saquon Barkley. Understand Saquon Barkley, improved O-line, make or break contract year, no committee, right? Barring any type of injury, which we've seen before, Saquon Barkley's a top 5 running back this year. Easy. I said it last year. I was off by a year. He hadn't fully healed from his injury, his knee injury. He's fully good to go. He was preserved last year. They gave Devontae Booker that workload because they wanted to preserve Saquon Barkley. So, again, he could move up. Watch, training camp. He could move up to a late first-round pick. Don't be shocked. But I see him in mock drafts falling to late second round, early third. So he is a sleeper, believe it or not, on a guy that could actually finish as a top 5 running back with ease if healthy. Absolutely. Volume, talent, opportunity is there. So going back here to the first round, Nick Chubb comes off late first round sometimes. I don't see it, but he's typically a second round guy. I wouldn't worry too much. But again, let's recap the first round. If you're going early, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Christian McCaffrey, those are the guys coming off. Jonathan Taylor, like I said, Jonathan Taylor, Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Najee Harris, first couple picks. I see a wide receiver really come off there with Cooper Kupp, comes off mid-first round. Other options are coming off first round. DeAndre Swift, I see coming off. I see Dalvin Cook coming off. DeAndre Swift, I'm a little suspect about with that offense, and he's not a big volume guy. If you look at his rushing attempts, not there for me to entice me for a first-round pick, although there is some PPR ceiling there. Austin Eckler, also another guy I don't trust so much with C.J. Spiller there, a big, violent runner that can come in, get that goal line work, and there's a 1-2 punch. We're getting Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt all over again with the Chargers potentially. I think Spiller is going to be a factor, if not early, but eventually. Jamar Chase, I do like him as a late first-round pick, but again, I think he's got the highest ceiling out of these wide receivers. He only had like 128 attempts last year. Like him a lot. Aaron Jones a little early for me in the first round. Joe Mixon, big question with Joe Mixon, and again, he's coming off late first round. The big question with Joe Mixon is he going to continue that pinnacle year? He's played many years. Last year was his pinnacle year, so was it an anomaly year? The only thing that tells me it's not an anomaly year is because I actually like that offense. I do like the Bengals offense. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, young, fresh. Jamar Chase distracts those defenses, open things up for Mixon. I like Mixon this year. I actually do as a safe guy, barring any type of injury, but he's shown to be injured in the past. I think he's safe. If you combo him with another running back as part of a robust RB strategy, could be a late first-round pick for you. And then, like we talked about, Alvin Kamara, possible suspension there. Javonte Williams, you got Melvin Gordon, but a ton of ceiling for the young Javonte Williams if they actually give him the volume. Now, 203 attempts last year, 4 touchdowns. I'm looking at a 260 attempt floor for Javonte Williams. I think they are phasing out Melvin Gordon. Javonte is going to be the starter, in my opinion, but he is a risky first-round pick because of the possible annoyance of Melvin Gordon. So, I mean, and then you got Justin Jefferson, guys like that. Maybe Tyreek Hill slips into the first round, Stephon Diggs, guys like that. But that is your first round. Now, you may get, if you're in a 2-quarterback league, you may get a quarterback come off here. When I'm talking one point PPR, 1-quarterback league, there's going to be some variances in a 2-quarterback league where quarterbacks come off in the first round as well. So who am I drafting? I'm going robust RB. I'm looking for like a Najee. I'm looking for like a Derrick Henry. I'm looking for Jonathan Taylor early, understanding Jonathan Taylor may decline. And if I'm going later, I'm looking at a guy like Javonte Williams, possibly a Joe Mixon, and then grabbing a Saquon Barkley early second round and making a 1-2 punch at the end of the first and early second round. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And I want to implore you, if you are thinking wide receiver, understand there is a ton of depth at wide receiver, a ton of depth. And I'm telling you, you'll be totally fine at wide receiver if you wait. Okay? Tons of wide receiver ones you can get after the 4th round and beyond. And a ton of rookies, including Christian Watson, Drake London, Alec Pierce, a ton of wide receiver rookies that are going to come in and be plugged in as wide receiver 1 potential right off the bat. Wait on wide receiver, go robust for RB first round, like load up on those RBs first round, secure that scarce position, and you'll do just fine. Now, there's a lot of depth there for you guys. If you guys saw the value, if this is making sense, wow, Joe actually broke down first round, made sense to me. I can't wait till he tells me about 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, maybe even the later rounds. Get that 16-round draft solution. I've linked it below. Use code TUBE20 to save yourself 20%. Subscribe, guys. Fantasy football is around the corner. I appreciate you guys. I'm out.